first person to come here and share is Carine Omutoniwase. And Omutoniwase Carine is a Christian youth activist and a peace builder. She's a servant leader with a heart for the young and future African generation, who I believe we are all seated here. She's also an African enthusiast who believes that Africa has the potential of becoming a global continent and provider to the world. Ms. Carine is a graduate finalist at Hekima University College, the host for today, and currently undertaking her Masters of Arts in Peace Studies and International Relations, and finalizing a thesis on youth leadership development and civic engagement, case study of Yali Regional Leadership Center in Kenya. Ms. Omutoniwase is also the founder and director of Footprints for Change, a youth-led and youth-serving organization in Kenya with a vision of a civically responsible youth for an accountable leadership and peaceful society. Footprints for Change works primarily with young people in the society between the ages of 10 to 25 years using in-class session, creative arts, sports as a tool for the achievement of the organization mission, which I've just read to you. Ms. Omutoniwase is passionate about the role of young people in the transformation of the communities and nations, as well as them being pivotal to the future prosperity and stability of the African continent. In her quest, she strongly advocates for youth-led conflict transformation, peace building, and change leadership through innovation and constructive civic engagement of young people. Her dream is to resuscitate Pan-African leadership and thinking of united and able Africa societies to the next generation of leaders on the continent. Ms. Carine also has a heart for Christian missions and currently serving in the mission team and tech team at Mavuno Lifeway, in which she plans to continuously spread the love of God and the message of hope to the needy, marginalized, and victims of war in the world for the rest of her life. Now, put your hands together as we call...
I was about to stop you from reading all that. Tuko poa? Tumetoa baridi na chai. Na reggae. Oh my God, the band. You guys are amazing. I don't know where you are, but that was lovely. So I was given a task to talk about what young people are doing in relation to promoting peaceful elections. But I thought to give it context and judging from the questions that came from the morning session, to make it a bit broader. So what is the role of young people in building peaceful cultures? Hence, what is their contribution in peaceful elections and what are the lessons that we have learned? So bear with me. I know this is something, sisi nikataka next year, I should stick to English. Sisi nikataka kurudi another forum like this again next year and be talking about the same things. I think it's about time we attend conferences and have action points that can actually yield results for us. And so this is my outline. I'll have an introduction, a bit of statistics, look at the causes of instability, role of youth in peaceful cultures, what are you doing to contribute to peaceful elections, what are some of the lessons that we have learned, and a conclusion. So before I start, I think anybody who's going to ask me a question, I would like you to have a look at this image and tell me what comes to your mind. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this image? So when you ask me a question, I'd love to know your thought about this image. We're good on that, right? Great. So Africa has for long been divided, exploited, and disregarded as weak, dependent, and a hopeless continent. For decades, blood has been shed, resources have been looted, mothers have been forced to see their sons and daughters despair. With independence, which we fought for, came political autonomy and the opportunity for Africa, and to by a large extent Kenya, to lead and chart its own way to development. However, this freedom and unity has been undermined continuously by greed, discrimination, and protracted violence, rendering our nations unstable. Hence why we have such topics as the conference today. So we live in a pluralist society where there are numerous fault lines that are utilized to divide and antagonize brothers and sisters. In order for us to build peaceful, resilient, and sustainable societies, we must first reconcile our differences and inequities. And individually, that's me and you, individually aspire to attain common good and what ought to be. This speaks to the transformation of hearts and minds of young people. Now, fact zone. I just thought I'd give this background to the presentation at the conference today. So Kenya was a de facto one-party state since 1964 to 1991. So in terms of election-related violence experienced in Kenya, 1992, 97, 202, and 207, we see that in 1992 we had about 250 people displaced, approximately 1,500 killed. 97, about 100,000 displaced, 400 killed. 202, reports of minor incidents of evictions and about 200 people killed. 207, 630,000 people were displaced and 1,133 killed, most of them in the Rift Valley. Now, out of the 10 elections that Kenya has had, 7 of them have had have seen economic growth decline in the year after the election. There is a 60% likelihood of a slump in economic growth during an election year in Kenya since the multi-party system was introduced. I think most of us are feeling the pinch, even to date. Something else I'd like to shed to light is the aspect of young people, us, our population, our strength. So those are the statistics for Africa, but in Kenya, the median age is 19.1 years. Majority of Kenyans are 19 years old. And most of the speakers before me told us that 70% of the population in Kenya is under the age of 30. So I'd like us really to think critically on our role moving forward from now. And also, the other thing I was looking at when I was preparing was the percentage of promises that politicians have fulfilled or elected leaders have fulfilled, which is disheartening and fades alongside the cost of human and economic aspects when it comes to election violence in society. So really think about this critically. Really think about these numbers critically. I'll quickly rush through this because we know it. So what are the causes of instability in Kenya? They vary. They vary from the different people that I've talked to. These are some of them that have stood out in different regions, not just in Nairobi. There's land. We are faced with a century of land grievances issues. We know that. There's ethnic division and discrimination, ethnic politics, ethnic discrimination in employment sectors, institutions such as schools, families. There's a general depiction of a fragmented society, especially during the election years. There's a strong sense of a lack of accountability, politically, socially, economically, and environmentally. High sense of impunity. There's the absence of personal responsibility. And we continue to see corruption undermine development efforts and peace processes in Kenya, sadly. There's also the issue of historical injustices, whereby we see generational wounds and unhealed memories each year, especially during the election, keep coming up. We risk being stuck with a victim mentality, yeah, where we always feel like the society is owing us. It's our turn. It's our turn to, that kind of state. Revenge and animosity is sold in the society. We also see a leadership crisis, characterized by power struggles. We live in a man-eat-man society. Poor service to the common mananchi, that boy that you are told in the morning who sits there. There's no service to him. There's never been any service to him. So what can youth in terms of developing peaceful cultures? First of all, a peaceful culture is a culture a culture of peace is a set of values, attitude, traditions, and modes of behavior and ways of life that's based on respect for life, ending violence, and promotion of and practice of non-violence through education, dialogue, and cooperation, such gatherings. We also, as young people, also need to engage in conflict transformation. And as I read through this, these are some of the things that young people are doing, because that's where my discussion is supposed to be based on. In terms of conflict transformation, you should engage in the constructive change initiatives that include and go beyond resolving a particular problem. For example, in 92, 97, 202, 207, mediation processes, we have resolved that conflict, and then what? In 207, we are all again up worried, Did we really solve the issues? Did we go beyond to just the resolution and transform some of those systems that led to this cycle of violence? And it also means that we have to build inclusive and just systems and approaches. We have to have a survivor mentality, a survivor mentality, a survivor mentality, a hero syndrome in each one of us. We also need to look at reconciliation, the aspect of forgiveness, especially when it comes to historical injustices and the generational wounds. Forgiveness is key. It's not easy, but it's key in transcending historical injustices and wrongs done. It needs the resocialization of young people, the emphasis of aspects like Ubuntu, existing as one human race, championing our shared humanity. There's also the element of conflict prevention, which young people are mostly, they're the key actors when it comes to conflict prevention. So this is described as actions that prevent conflict or mass violence from breaking out. Issues, things like early warning. How do you engage in such? Again, they need to resocialize the mind of young people and provide with them information on vices that limit their capabilities. We need to talk about the vices that have really, really curtailed the progress of our societies. Corruption, ethnicity. These are things that we have to start having conversations about, not just hash tones. As Africans, I know we're that polite, but is it helping us? And also, talk to kids about values. This is our work, morals that can strengthen their communities and inspire them to be peace and change agents. Leadership. We need to transform our leadership, and it starts with you and I. You've heard what Siasa Place has been doing. We need to involve young people as leaders today and emphasize their role for the survival of the future generations. Pan-African spirit of leadership. We fought for our land, we fought for our countries, and then what? Innovation and entrepreneurship spirit. As young people, we're very, very innovative. And as young people, I know, I work mostly with young people from Madari. We are always coming up with business ideas. Brilliant ones. Brilliant ones. So we need to encourage and provide opportunities for young people to be innovative, for them to develop solutions to the problems in their communities. Community-centered, people-centered solutions. We need to build resilient youth populations, to encourage activities and projects that build resilience. Because these shocks are not just about to stop happening now. Like Juliani said, it has to be a long-term intentional engagement. So we have to be resilient. Ukipewa hiyo sombili jua msimamo wako. Like the man from the Matatu Welfare Association was saying. We also need to have peer-to-peer dialogues, like we are. Let's talk amongst ourselves as young people. And there are so many of these going on peace and leadership. We need to spread the hope for a better future with constructive, responsible, and collective youth action. In election year in particular, the effort needs to be focused on addressing causes of instability to break the cycles of election-related violence and encourage constructive youth participation. So I have 1 minute. I'll quickly rush through what young people are currently doing to contribute to peaceful elections. Some I've mentioned. So there's conducting of conferences and forums like this that sensitize young people on election violence. I see a lot of young people using art and music. This has been mentioned. We know MPQ did a song, Eko did a Nesmoni song, guys like Giuliani, that raise awareness on vices in the society and the need for them to make better choices, especially in leadership. There's use of media, mass and social, the Activate campaign, most of you must have heard about it. Fagia Water, Diversity in Strength, You Are One, My Face for Peace. There's also engagement in peaceful and demonstrations for credible, free, and fair elections. For example, we had an organization with volunteer youth who did a peace march in 25 counties recently in June, still advocating for credible, free, and fair elections. We also need to use constitutional means as exemplified by Siasa Place. We also have community outreach programs that are going on with the messages of harmony and non-violence action, cookouts in the community, peace caravans, use of sports. There's things like Below Kabila tournament, Urban Legends 254, a sports initiative on peace and conflict transformation. These are things that are actually happening and young people are doing them. In-class session with children, this is what particularly Footprints we do. Talking to them about their role as peace agents and how they can break the cycles of violence, especially during election period. And most of these I can share with you guys after. They're lessons learned from Rwanda. I'm Rwandan, hence the why Nelly was having a hard time with my name. And we also been doing peace tours with high schools, especially in marginalized communities, Marsabit, Isiolo, Tana River, talking to them about their role in election and in peace. And then there's a One Youth Festival, a youth peace advocacy platform that utilizes dialogue, music, art, and sports to create an inclusive space for young people from different backgrounds to come together. These are things up, and you're most welcome to attend. So what are the lessons learned? Some of the challenges: there's pervasive negative view of youth in the society. This was what was highlighted by Giuliani. What we need to do there is promote an asset-based model where young people are seen as stakeholders in development and peace and the survival of humanity. There's a lack of issue-based campaigns, so we need to promote politics and campaigns based on issues rather than tribe. Impunity and disregard of rule of law. We need transparent, people-centered, and just systems. There's the aspect of political manipulation and incitement to violence. Young people need to be empowered, multidimensional empowerment of youth to deter lure of money for chaos. Projects like Kenya Tuna Uwezo did this very well in different areas in Nairobi. There's the aspect of misinformed choices. We need to raise awareness on education and educate people on issues that need to be promoted. When you're going to vote, what are you voting for? Is that person going to fulfill your vote? Are you going to hold them accountable? Is your vote informed, or it's just being made out of the sake of voting? Again, voting is si style, tinili vote nikona z. Normalization of political violence. In 2007, this is what the AU guys who came, Kofi Annan, they say that there's a normalization of political violence in Kenya. We need to tackle this by creating inclusive and safe spaces, restoring dignity of human life. Dignity of human life. The numbers I've just given you, they're not statistics, these are people. These are people. Sensitization of community and youth against violence and promotion of non-violent engagement in society. I'm concluding already. So we as youth need to wake up. This is a call for all of us to wake up. Again, this is a call for all of us to wake up as young people and realize our priceless role and potential as the hope and bridges for a better future in our families and community at large. Tomorrow needs you to act responsibly today. Tomorrow needs you to act responsibly today. You need to secure the future for your children and give them a better inheritance. This is something that has been happening since independence, and to date we are still singing the same song. Aren't we a creative lot? Aren't we an innovative lot? The truth is that we live in a world where conflict is increasingly becoming modernized and based on identities. But another truth is that the youth tribe, the 70%, is the biggest and most powerful identity we have today and for years to come. There's an urgent need to transform our minds and heal our hearts for peace to prevail on earth. Young people have to step up. We have to step up and bridge the gaps in society that threaten our survival as human beings. And as I finish, Giuliani said that peace building is not a one-day thing. This is not something that should end today. It's a long-term and intentional engagement to ensure the sustainability of our societies. Thank you and God bless.